Hey there, welcome back. This is Chad from Zombie Fight Shark, and we are continuing our discussion of the Subtractor. The Subtractive synthesis. It's awesome. So this is tutorial number 5. We have talked about number 1, we talked about oscillators. Then we talked about filters, number 2. Then number 3, we talked about filter and amp envelopes. And then number 4, we talked about mod envelopes and all of these cool little modes and functions. And now we're to LFOs, low frequency oscillators. And I'm not going to go into what an LFO is and does and how I'm not going into the theory behind LFOs. Somebody else has already made a video about that, and you can go find that. But what I am going to go into is how does this affect your sound in Reason? So I have opened up my standard init patch. I did go ahead and change the filter here. I've turned on both oscillators, and I have adjusted my sense, so it's 3 up, 3 down, so I get a nice little chorus effect there, just to color the sound. I have turned on sync, so this will be in time. This is 138 BPM if you're keeping track. So what's my rate here? It is a quarter note, so at 138 BPM. And so let's see what this does. So here we, so without doing anything, no amount right here on this LFO. So let's turn it up and it's going to be real obvious. The UFO is taking off. And so what's it doing? It's sweeping that up and down, that pitch up and down. And it's doing it for both oscillators. I mean, you can't get much more obvious than that. So is this a useful effect? You bet your bottom dollar it is. So now using it on this level, yeah, it's an effect. But you can do this and turn the sync off. And you can get to something musical there. You play with the right sounds and etc. And you want to like create a maybe like a old school Atari sound type thing, Commodore 64 type sound. Then that's a good place to start. So yeah, oscillator 1 and 2. It has a use for sure. Very subtly a lot of times. So it starts acting, almost like an FM modulator when you're messing around with it. But so that's something to play with. And we got all our different wave shapes here. Don't have time to go through every wave shape and every oscillator. So you're going to have to explore some of these on your own. But I will point out things that I've found that work really well as use this mode and this wave shape. That's for LFO 1. LFO 2, you don't have any choice. You're only going to get it. I guess it's the triangle wave here, basically. So oscillator 2. So maximum effect, and let's do it in time. Okay, so still an effect. So let's back off that amount, and so it starts to become a little bit more musical at lower amounts. And this is fun for, you slow it down and you want to create like a fake drift, where like say you're going for an old Moog type sound and you want to create like pitch drift between the two oscillators. This is a super easy way to do it, because a lot of old oscillators, they'll have pitch drift, and that's part of their character, but it's also part of like what makes them sound amazing is they're very unique. So you can turn on oscillator 2. You can play with any of these waves, whatever floats your boat. If you want, if you want it to be random, then use your bottom sample and hold wave here. That's curved sample and hold. But you'll get some pitch drift. And you slow it way down, and it's not going to be noticeable. You can play with your amounts or whatever. But that's a fun use for that oscillator too. And then same thing like we were showing before. You can do cool stuff. Cool stuff there to play with that. Filter frequency, and so this is where it can get confusing, but we're gonna try to make it make sense. Okay, so quarter note, amount, we'll do it all the way for now. So it's sweeping the filter, right? Filter frequency, it's affecting this filter. And you can see the wave is getting deeper and deeper. So you get the idea there, or your different wave patterns. So you can probably immediately come up with some ideas for that one. You know, use it on a bass. And it's almost like a fake pumping effect that a lot of you hear in a lot of EDM type stuff. Only you're doing it with a filter instead of a compressor. So anyways, that is a use for that filter frequency, and I'm sure you'll quickly find other uses. FM, same idea. I'm a big fan of the square wave, just on, off, because that's fun for me. And so with FM, like I've said in the prior one, less is more, prior tutorial. So you can hear it sweeping. And here we'll slow it down a little, make it more obvious. So in FM frequency, you know, so it's that LFO is affecting this knob, and where it's starting from and where it's ending up at is directly affected by this knob. So if you're like, it's not doing anything, then play with this knob and hit that button. So I think you get the idea there. Phase, like I said in the last tutorial, one of my favorite things to play with. So play with the phase between these two. Let's do it a little faster. And this is another one where you can just get weird stuff happening. So cool thing there. All right, so we mess with the phase. We have a little bit. We're just a little bit out of tune, and it's making it even more dissonant because we're playing with the phase in this LFO. Those two, it's kind of clashing the LFOs. And so let's see if we can get it in tune here. So oh, surprise! Look, nothing happens. Does nothing. So you get them out of phase here, and then the LFO gets it out of phase even more, and then you subtract it or you multiply it, and weird, cool stuff happening. All right, last one, mix. So same thing. It's this little mix knob here. Let's do a slow effect here. So you can hear it sweeping from one oscillator to the other, and then boom, resetting, boom, resetting. Just like the shape. And then let's talk about LFO2 real quick. So when you start combining these, again, weird, wild stuff happens. Okay, so there's our sound right now without anything. Here, we'll fix the mix here. All right, so LFO2, oscillator 1 and 2, same time, and it has the same effect as it did over here. And here you don't have a sync option, so it's just you can time it to your song with your rate knob. you know, or you'll figure it out. You know, that can be a little bit frustrating at times, but you get there. So what happens when you combine this plus this? So those, you know, it gets crazy. It's great. I love it. So that's whole notes. So you can kind of hear it combining the two. So that square wave is like up, down, up, down, up, down. And then this oscillator is swooping up and down, and it's kind of jumping it back and forth, and it just merges the waves. So fun stuff. So let's turn that amount back down. I think you got the idea there. Phase, again, same idea. Messing with this phase right here. All right, now frequency 2, filter frequency 2. So this is filter frequency 1. This is filter frequency 2. So here's where you can do some cool, crazy combined effects if you start playing with, you play them against each other and do weird, wild stuff. And watch out for that crazy overdrive. So this one, sweeping, let's make it sweep fast. Okay, so you can hear how fast that's going. Now, let's add some sweep to this guy. So you can hear those two LFOs kind of going against each other. So it's just something to play with, and great for making weird alien noises, and you can land on something musical as well. Last thing, amp, one of my favorite things. So I love tremolo. I don't even have a tremolo pedal, but I love tremolo. I don't know why, but for some reason it just gets my juices flowing, and I love using this for tremolo. And it's perfect if you can create kind of a fake delay effect. If you use this delay knob right here delays the effect of the LFO. So as it is right now, the LFO kicks in as soon as I hit the button. But if I turn this delay up a little bit, it waits a second. And so if you time it right for your song, then you can you custom your patch to have a tremolo effect, or with a combination of the LFO, sometimes your mod envelope or your amp envelope, you can actually create like an accidental delay effect, which I've done on a few occasions. So do the max amount there, rate. Keyboard, so just quickly, I should talk about these knobs. So the keyboard knob, just like up with the filter, what the keyboard knob does up there, same thing here. The amount that the LFO affects as you go up the keyboard, the speed of the LFO and the intensity of the effect will change based on this keyboard knob. So let's see if it's obvious if we go up a few octaves. So you can hear that speed difference there. So there you go. And then delay, we already talked about it. So there's your two LFOs, and all I can say again, play with them and just see where it takes you, because just playing with these two, I mean, I have spent hours just messing with, can I get them to play against each other using, both of them one on FM, one on filter, and back and forth, and just making cool sounds. So that's it for LFOs. On the next tutorial, we're going to talk about this velocity section and how when you use this, you change the entire game, and you can take your patches to a whole different place. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.